What if you could learn the fast track to quitting your 9 to 5 job so that you could become a digital nomad and travel all over the world? Well, in this video, we're going to be breaking it down for you based on our over 15 years of experience in online entrepreneurship and a decade living in other countries.
Welcome to Entrepreneur Expat. This is Justin. I'm Amanda, and we are currently American expats and digital entrepreneurs living in Mexico and traveling all over the world. On this channel, we cover all topics having to do with becoming a digital nomad, making money online, getting residencies and visas and citizenships in other countries, doing business globally, and so much more. So if that's something that you are interested in, make sure to subscribe and hit the notification bell so you don't miss a single video that we have coming out on this channel. And if you want to take what we're talking about in this video a step further, if you want to do a deeper dive, then definitely make sure to download our free Make Money From Anywhere guide below. It'll show you the 5 skills that you need in order to make money from literally any country. We've seen people use these skills in Latin America, Africa, Southeast Asia. Doesn't matter. You learn these skills and you will always have opportunities to make money. And if you want to go even deeper than that, then make sure to get on our calendar by signing up for a complimentary location-independent business consultation where we will help you determine how to turn your work experience into a viable location-independent.
Now, before we even get into exactly how to quit your 9 to 5 job and replace it with a remote based income from a business, let's talk about the reasons that you need to quit your job, at least eventually, if you do want to become a digital nomad or entrepreneur expat. So, number one, it's a lot harder to get the required residencies and visas in a given country if you still have a job that's tied to a location. Just as an example, even if you have a job that you can do remotely, not all remote jobs let you work from another country. In fact, over 95% of them, according to recent studies, do not allow you to work from outside of the US. And that's why you see so many people that kind of do it a little under the radar and tell their employer that they're in Nevada when they're really in Colombia. So got to be careful with that. And if you're planning on doing anything like that, just know, number one, it's not a long-term strategy. And number two, it's not going to work to get you a visa. As an example, in Mexico, where we currently have our temporary residency and we're working towards getting a passport, a second passport, in addition to our American one, if one is to get that temporary residency and they have a job, they actually need to have a signed letter from their boss stating that you're able to work remotely, not just from another state or another city, but that you're able to work remotely and you have permission to work remotely from Mexico. If for whatever reason you do not have that letter in your hands when you go to the consulate, you're going to get denied that visa and you're not going to be able to move to Mexico.
By the way, good luck getting that letter for most of your employers because in the United States, the trend is everybody needs to go back to the office.
Yeah, whether you're working remote from another state or anywhere else, they're trying to bring everybody back now into the corporate office. So something to definitely make a note of there in terms of reasons why you don't just want to have a 9 to 5 job.
Also, I just learned this. So let's say somebody wanted to go to the UK. I don't think anybody on this channel wants to go to the UK, but we're going to use it as an example. They actually don't let you work remotely in their laws. I learned that on Nomad Capitalist. So
Most countries don't.
yeah,
Most countries, and whether they enforce it or not
as
is
in a
really up.
remote job.
Yeah,
Let's
it's
be
really
clear.
up to the
Yeah.
immigration agent, but not a remote business either. If you go to the UK and a lot of other places, you can't just have, a couple clients you work with online and say, I'm going to go and stay here as a tourist. You actually have to have the income and the business and the financials and then go and get the residency in that country to legally be able to do any kind of work remotely. But to Amanda's point, in the UK, they tend to be very strict and say, oh, you want to work your remote job while you're here on vacation? No, buddy, I'm sorry. That's working. That's not vacation. We're going to send you on the next flight back home.
Yep, that's what they do. But in Latin America, if you have your own business, or even in Southeast Asia with digital nomad visas, if you have your own business, then it opens up a lot more doors. One of those doors that it opens, not just financially, but also in terms of location. Because a lot of times when you are getting these visas and residencies and things like that, you're going to have to go to somebody's consulate in person. So for example, with Mexico, you start the first part of the process in the United States. Now you might be thinking, oh, I could just go to my local consulate. you would be wrong. You may not be able to go to your local consulate. In fact, you may have to do what we did, which is go to a consulate in another state and get on a plane. Or the second part of the residency process in Mexico is done in Mexico. If you go to Ireland, I just learned this, you have to do an interview in Ireland in order to get residency. If you don't have a location independent business, good luck getting the vacation days to go do that. So
Exactly.
you
That's
need,
another big factor. You can't just pick up and move to another place without actually going there and looking at it and seeing if it's really where you want to go.
yeah, and if you're doing the residencies and the visas and things like that, like they're going to want to talk to you in person. You can't just show up to a country and be like, I'm staying here now. It doesn't quite work like
Yeah,
that.
unfortunately, Americans have had this propensity to think that they're just welcome anywhere in the world for as long as they want to be there, and that's not quite true.
No, even in Mexico, they've cracked down on Americans doing visa runs.
They've been deporting people too,
Yeah.
near the border and a lot of the tourist places where people are overstaying their visas or they don't have the right paperwork on hand, or they're working remotely or any like they've actually been deporting people that have stayed longer than they were allowed to stay in the country and sending people back or giving them just a few days on their passport stamp instead of giving them the full 6 months.
All of that to say that you're going to have to eventually quit your 9 to 5 job in order to do what is required of you to even get residencies and visas. Number one, in terms of income. Number two, in terms of it actually being remote. And number three, in terms of being able to be nimble enough in your location to get on a plane and go to these different countries in order to actually do the immigration process.
Yep. And it's a lot easier to do all of that if you actually can prove that you have the money in savings and in income from your own business, and you're completely in control of that money. You're the one who signs the checks in that business. If you can prove that, then you're going to have a much easier time. And people don't want to take away jobs. That's another point is they really don't want to take away jobs from others in their country. So if you're just thinking, you know what, I'm going to go to Mexico and I'm going to sell tequila somewhere, or I'm gonna build some type of restaurant or coffee shop or stand or whatever, or work in one. They don't necessarily want to take away jobs from people in their local economy. That doesn't help. They're trying to bring in foreign investment, not have you just living off of the system or getting money that potentially could be going to a local person.
And
So if
that's most countries.
and that's most countries,
Yeah.
absolutely. There's no way that you're going to be able to just say, "Yeah, I'm just going to go get a job there." Well, hold on, buddy. That's no, no, no. That doesn't help us as a country. We're not going to let you in to do that.
And also, work visas are difficult to get.
They are, yeah, because employers have to basically prove beyond reasonable doubt that there's nobody else in that country that can do the role that you're going to fulfill, and it's very difficult to prove that.
And even if you were able to get a job in another country, you're going to get paid what the wages are in that country, which completely defeats the purpose of geo arbitrage of getting paid in a high value currency and then living in a lower value
So
currency.
you might as well just stay home.
Yeah, you might as well just stay home at that point because it's not going to do anything for you.
So, what do you actually need to do at the very beginning to start your journey on becoming a digital nomad and building that remote income stream? So, there's this Japanese concept called ikigai, which is really these four different areas that you need to combine if you want to have a successful remote independent income. And that's, what are you passionate about? What are you good at? What does the marketplace need? And what will people pay you money for? So when you combine those four things, you're going to find something that you love to do that's in very high demand, that the world needs, that you're getting paid for, and now you've got something that's a real sustainable business. If any of those four legs of that table are missing, you're going to have a very hard time either making money or doing it sustainably. Because let's say you pick something, you know what, my parents always said that I should be a doctor, so I'm going to do that. But you don't really like people, you don't like blood, you don't like medicine. Sure, there's a need for that, and it definitely pays a lot of money, but are you actually going to do that career for the rest of your life and be happy in it and have it be something that you can actually stick with? Probably not. Same thing with a lot of people that are coming out of the tech world. They may or may not want to work with the same kinds of corporations that they were working under essentially as an employee, and that's totally fine. If you're a highly skilled tech worker and you've got some type of software development or IT management job, it doesn't necessarily mean that you just have to find clients doing software development or IT management. maybe you really love those things and you're passionate about them, and you just don't want to work for one person, you want to have clients, okay, by all means, go ahead and do that and at least see how you like it, and how you like working with multiple clients in that same area. Totally fine. A lot of the time, the people will find that they will try that. They'll do it for maybe 5 or 10 years or less, like I did. When I was building websites for people instead of working building websites and doing other software and tech stuff for other companies many years ago. But they'll say, you know what, this just isn't fulfilling anymore, or I don't feel like I'm scaling my time. And that's another thing. We'll talk about that a lot in other videos on this channel. But you want to find an offer that's actually scalable. You don't want to find something that's going to make you
Basically create another job for yourself. You
exactly,
want something that can scale and can be run like a business and run like a machine.
especially if you're already building that location independence into what you're doing. You want to also have time freedom. And you don't get time freedom by working 50 or 60 or 80 hours a week doing the same stuff you were doing before. Even if you are making a little bit more money, that kind of defeats the purpose. You want to find scale. And so it's about combining all of those different four areas, not just in terms of the audience that you serve and the types of things you're doing, but even in terms of the way that you structure your offer so that you're delivering your skill set and your knowledge and your value, not necessarily trading your time for dollars.
Which is a very big shift that someone needs to make in their mind when they're moving from being an employee to an entrepreneur. How about we use entrepreneur as an example of those four areas? Because when we did that for our
Entrepreneur expat.
entrepreneur expat, because when we did that for our clients in our, get your first high paying client bootcamp, they found that really helpful when we used entrepreneur expat as an example. So walk me through the four areas and we'll talk about how entrepreneur expat actually hit all those four areas. And that's one of the reasons why this is actually growing so fast.
And it hit those areas without us really even knowing. We actually kind of did it as a little side quest, this entire channel here, and it just happened to take off and happened to get a bunch of attention. But let's look at it step by step. So something that we're passionate about. We already travel essentially for a living. I mean, at least as a lifestyle, we travel a lot. We live in other countries. We've been living in Mexico for a few years now. We love to share this lifestyle, and we love to share just the freedom that's possible.
We could talk about it all day.
Exactly, and we have been for free, just like on this YouTube channel and to all our friends and everything else. So we're very passionate about it, and we're passionate about helping people not only move overseas, but actually build that remote income that enables them to do that long term.
Which we've also been talking about all day for like 15 years.
Exactly. So passion is definitely there. Now, is it something the world needs? Well, if you look at the immigration statistics and people leaving the US and Canada and people moving to other countries and all the Americans and Canadians that are
There's
applying.
like global musical chairs going on right now with everybody
Yep.
moving somewhere else. So yeah, there's definitely a need in the marketplace. In fact, this kind of shocked us because when we first started Entrepreneur Expat, we thought it was only going to attract people who already had 6 and 7 figure businesses and they needed better automations and systems in order to make a move overseas a lot easier, which by the way, if that's you, come talk to us because we can help you do that.
Link for a call right below
Link
the video.
below for a call. But what also ended up happening was we started attracting a lot of people who had 6-figure jobs and they didn't know how to get out of that job and start making money on their own so they could leave that job and then be one step closer to actually being able to live in other countries. And we were like, oh my God, there's a whole untapped market here. Because we lived in the marketing, sales, digital marketing world for so long, a lot of it was getting very repetitive. And when we started this channel, we're like, oh my God, there's a massive need in the marketplace, not just for people, moving abroad, which we can help you do as well, especially if you're interested in Mexico, but also for the step that comes even before that, which is the how do I make money online so I'm not stuck at this job and I can actually go to other countries. So yeah, definitely needs in the marketplace. What's the next step?
So the next leg of that four-legged table, which most tables probably have 4 legs, unless they're round and have 3, would be, is it something that people will actually pay you for? And the answer is yes, absolutely. People are paying for business advice and business coaching all the time. They're paying, in many cases, tens or hundreds of thousands of dollars. In the case of several of our, I won't even call them competitors, but people who are explicitly in the business of helping others move overseas and get visas and bank accounts and corporate structures and everything else. That's 6 figures per client or more, sometimes 7 figures per client. So the money's definitely moving in that regard, and people are paying for both the relocation, the geo arbitrage, the all of that stuff, and for the business training at a different level of like how do you get your income to the place that you can do those sorts of things with a business. So money's absolutely there. And then the fourth one is, are you good at it? Well, we've collectively made our clients probably at this point somewhere in the 8-figure range of additional revenue from working with us and from the systems that we've put in place in their businesses, from training their teams, from training the CEOs, helping them with their software, helping them with their product suite, with their offering, with their sales, with their marketing, with their YouTube, all this other stuff. We can't even really track every single dollar, but it's up there for sure. So yeah, I would say we're pretty darn good at it. We've worked with banks. You worked with TransUnion. I think it was Credit Karma, a few other places like that.
Whatever you use for your banking in the United States, I probably wrote content marketing for them when I
Yep.
was in that financial
And
space. Yeah.
did media stuff for
I
them.
did
You
media
traveled all around the
tours.
country
Yeah.
doing media tours for like
Yeah.
TransUnion.
You can still
Yeah,
find that on YouTube. If you
somewhere
just
out there.
Google Amanda Abea TransUnion, you can actually find those.
Yeah, and I've worked with many 6 and 7 figure brands. I worked with the founders of Barefoot Wines, amongst many other clients in the personal development space, coaches, business consultants, local services, web hosting, laundry service, you name it. Like,
Yep, so we're pretty good at it.
yeah, we're I would say we're pretty decent at what we do. So that fits all of the 4 different legs of that Ikigai table.
And that's one of the reasons why this took off so quickly. So make sure to use that formula to find that perfect combination, because when you find that perfect combination for yourself, and if you need help with that, book the call and we can walk you through it, then that's when you've hit a jackpot. Like, I went to him after like a month of taking Entrepreneur Expat seriously, which was in June, and I went to him and I said, "We nailed it with this one. We nailed it."
Yep. So Amanda, how do you get your first client?
Oh, well, this is a very interesting topic because most people think this is way harder than it actually is. So, we're going to teach you the easiest way that has been tried and tested since 2017, and it's actually the exact same process that we used on this channel from June to July that made us $52,000 in sales in 2 weeks from a brand new YouTube channel. And what do? We're really big fans of surveys, market research surveys specifically. And all that means is you poll your audience. In your case, you may not have a YouTube channel like we did, but you got people on your phone and you got people on your Facebook and on your LinkedIn. And if you don't, you can go find them in Facebook groups and LinkedIn groups. I mean, there's literal people everywhere who can pay you money.
And for everyone who thinks that they have to just build the castle and then they'll come, right? The whole build it and then they'll come mentality, that couldn't be farther from the truth. We want to actually prevent you from having to invest a bunch of time and money to build this big behemoth of a business
And then
before
no
you
one
even
buys
get any money.
anything.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You want to understand at the very beginning exactly what your market wants and needs. And more importantly, get them to prove that they're actually going to pay you for it by paying you for it up front. And then you can go and invest the time and design it with them as you build it.
So this is one of the things that most people have backwards. They think they need to spend all this time, energy, and money getting really good at creating the perfect thing, and then they're going to make money. And it's actually the exact opposite. You need to get the market validation first before you spend any time or money. Otherwise, that's how you end up broke. So the next thing is that once you've had people fill out this survey, okay, well, now all those people are potential clients. And if you're like, oh gosh, I don't know if every contact, yeah, every relationship that you make in life could potentially pay you for solving a problem.
And if you don't think they can, then you're probably limiting yourself in your own mind, because you think, what are some of the common beliefs? Oh, I'm bothering them, or I can't ask someone who's a friend for money,
Sure you
or
can.
I should work for my friends for free. Why not? Like, they're my friend, right? And this is especially popular a lot in different communities as well, where they're like constantly saying, hey, I want, just hook it up and give me a deal and whatever. I would argue that if they're your friend or even family, they should be paying more to work with you than with a competitor to be able to support you in your business, not expecting you to do stuff for them for free.
So all those guys are now potential clients, and that opens the door for you to have a conversation with them to figure out why it is that they answered the survey the way that they did. And in addition to that, then you can get a deeper understanding of what's going on with people. And then from there, it's a perfect entryway to tell people how you solve that problem. Now, there's a couple ways to go about doing the next step, depending on how comfortable you feel and whether or not you feel like you need testimonials. So, way number one is just what we did on Entrepreneur Expat, which is we sent a survey out, we started talking to people, we started asking them why they picked what they picked on the survey, and we were getting new sales and new clients right then and there just from that conversation, because people would naturally start asking us how we could solve the problem for them. And you'll see it in the comments section all the time as well. So maybe you don't see it in our emails, but you'll see it in the comment section where people are like, oh my gosh, can you help me figure out a location independence? Well, yes, we can. Here's a link to get on our calendar. So when what you're providing is really good and you're being of service and you're actually helping people, they are naturally going to want to throw money at you. That's how this works. But you have to be of service first. You have to go first. So that's way number
Yeah,
one.
people aren't just going to beat their way down to your door just because you have a good product or service or you really know your shit. It doesn't work like that. You have to take the initiative. I learned this the hard way. I was like the world's best kept secret. They called me the Swiss Army knife of digital marketing. I could build Infusionsoft or Keep campaigns. I could fix your email deliverability. I could build a website, build a landing page, create software, market things, do Google ads, Facebook ads, the whole nine. But unless people actually knew about me and what I did and who I was, it didn't really matter.
Exactly, right? So you have to take initiative and be of service and do the marketing and do the connections and all those things. If you need help with that, we have training programs that teach you step by step how to
Book that
actually
call and we'll tell you all
how
about
to
it.
actually do those things, because it does require some skills. So that's one way of doing it. If you're like super uncomfortable by that notion right now, there's another way of doing this, which Alex Hormozy teaches, and it's actually kind of genius and kind of smart. And that is to go to your network and tell them, and this is like if you're like an 18-year-old kid, right? And you have like zero work experience, then maybe this is the one for you, which is you can go to your network and tell them that you'll solve the problem for free in exchange for them donating to a charity, right? So here's what happens. Number one, it feels free to them, right? And they feel good about donating to a charity. But also, and this is a human psychology thing, they put some skin in the game by actually paying for
Because
something.
they value your work now. They've invested in it, and it's not just a giveaway where they don't really feel inclined to put any effort into it. They've already invested something. They've taken an action that's consistent with their new commitment to whatever result they want.
So all money is an exchange of value. And if there's no exchange of value, usually in the form of money, psychologically humans are just not going to do what they need to do because they don't feel like it costs them anything. That's just how we operate. It is what it is. That's part of sales psychology. So in this sense, right? And again, this is like if you're 18 and have zero work experience, right? If you've been in corporate world for 20 years, you don't need to do this.
You don't need to do any work for free.
But if you're 18 years old and you've had zero experience, nothing, then this is a good strategy for you. So again, they've put some sort of money on the table, so then they're more likely to do what it is that you tell them to do. And then they can also give you a ton of testimonials that way as well. So that's for the youngins, because I know we've got some young ones who watch this channel as well. That's the method for you. Those of you who've been in corporate for like 20 years, just get the money. Just get the money, because you already have the skills and you already have the experience where you have expertise in that area, whereas an 18-year-old may not. So they may just have to do a little bit more work in that regard. And then finally, just start telling the world, right? Text people, go on social media, start making YouTube videos. Just let people know you exist. Otherwise, you will be the best kept secret. And one of the things that people need to understand about business is the best known is always going to be the best product. That doesn't mean you shouldn't have a good product, because that'll cause problems later on if you don't have a good product or service. It just means that you could have the best product in the world, but if nobody knows about it, it doesn't matter and you're not getting paid.
You got to tell people about it and not be the best kept secret like I was.
Okay, so here's the easiest way to make $10,000 in a month.
We want to first talk to you really quick about a myth. And this myth is that in order to get good at anything, you have to spend 10,000 hours learning that thing, whether it's the guitar, the piano, business, marketing, technology, 10,000 hours to get really good at it. Yes, in a way, if you want to be an absolute master at something, especially that's very science or technology focused, and you want to be one of the best, like the top 0.1% of the
Or an
world,
engineer. Like
or
people's
an
lives are on the
engineer or
line.
whatever,
Yeah.
yeah, you might need to invest 10,000 hours in that thing. But it doesn't take 10,000 hours to learn a skill that can easily make you $10,000 or more per month.
So let me give you an example. Sales is a very highly valued skill. It only takes 20 hours of learning how to do sales and actually having conversations with people to get good enough at it where you're going to get paid.
That was the case for me. After about 15 to 20 of those sales calls, within a few weeks, I started to get data. I started to get feedback. I started to get much better than I was at the beginning. And gradually, my numbers improved so that I was closing 3 out of 4 people, and many times, or at least 2 out of 4 of the calls that I did.
And same with me with YouTube and digital marketing. It maybe took me 20 hours of focused effort, 20 hours of focused effort and attention and action to get this YouTube channel to the point where it made us 6 figures in sales in 90 days. It does not take that much time. This is a myth that most people are taught in life and it makes them feel responsible. But in reality, all you're doing is kicking the can down the road because it's already been proven that the only thing you need to get good enough at something to get paid for it is 20 hours. Now, of course, then we're talking about mastery after that. If you want to master something, it's going to take more than 20 hours, but you don't need to master something in order to make money off of it.
Exactly.
And then finally, if you want to make $10,000, the easiest way to do it is to create some sort of service or offer or product that you can charge $10,000 for and get one client and boom, you've
And
made
if you're
$10,000.
worried that $10,000 is like too much for that person, think about a problem that somebody with a lot of money has that would probably stand to lose 20 or 50 or $100,000 by not using your offer. I'll make a simple example. I'll use a simple example just from some of the work I did in the past when I was doing one-on-one consulting and services for companies. I had businesses that were sometimes making 2, 3, 5+ million dollars a year, and they had a very big problem with their email. Their emails were not getting into the inboxes of people on their list, and in some cases, they had lists of upwards of 200,000 subscribers on their email list, and everything was going into spam. I charged about $15,000 per client to work with them, and people gladly paid that. Here's why. Every single time they sent out a broadcast and 80+% of their emails go into spam or to the other folder instead of into the inbox, they lose tens or in some cases hundreds of thousands of dollars if it's their big yearly promotion. And why wouldn't someone pay $15,000 to save 150 or more? It's a no-brainer. So before you start thinking that, hey, I need to be at the level of business of the people that I'm selling to, that couldn't be farther from the
Also a
truth.
myth.
You just have to be a little bit ahead in one area and be able to guide those people to take the next step. And if you find a problem that makes them an ROI that either gives them a return on their investment of 2 to 5x or more, in many cases, we like to shoot for at least 10 times what people are investing, they're going to get back from us. And that happens the majority of the time.
Now you might be thinking, oh, that's so easy because you guys work with businesses. So let me give you an example that has nothing to do with businesses and has to do with personal relationships. So I had a client many years ago, and he was a mediator for couples, and he decided to. Well, that was what he was by trade. He was an attorney and then a mediator when people were going through divorce. And then he decided to create a coaching program where he was helping couples that were engaged start learning how to talk about money. Now, whenever somebody gave him an objection, oh, 10,000 is too much money or whatever he was charging, all he had to say was, how much do you think divorce costs?
Ooh, a lot more than
A
that.
lot more than that.
Yeah.
And then boom, he would just start closing people left and right. So you have to determine what that looks like and what that is for yourself. So that would be a non-business example that if somebody did not pay a coach or a mediator in the relationship space $10,000, it could actually cost them half their net worth
Yep.
if they didn't get this sorted
So
out in the
it's not
beginning.
always the tangible, measurable things, although in this case it was also that. But think about all the stress and emotional turmoil and everything else that they would go through. If you're not selling even directly to businesses, you might want to also look at all of the soft costs and benefits. Like health, for example. Maybe they won't directly make money if you're a health coach from using your services, but number one, it's going to save them a hell of a lot of money, more money than they would invest with you in healthcare expenses. And number two, they get to date maybe more of the people that they want to date, right? They feel good looking in the mirror. They have more self confidence. So, all of those things are worth significantly more to them than what they're going to pay you. And that's really the key. You want to have an offer that's a no brainer.
Yeah, and there's a cost to everything. Whether people do something or not do something, there's a cost associated with everything. So this is actually generally pretty easy to figure out once you realize everything has a cost. Whether it's financial or emotional or physical, there is a cost to everything in the universe. But if you still need help figuring this out, then make sure to book that call below and we can better guide you.
And if you're ready to do that, the best way to do that, you can click the link below, and you can also go to entrepreneurexpat.com/apply, and you can apply for that call. Just share a little bit of your information with us, and you'll be able to book a time on our calendar where we can walk you through the best next steps for you to build that location independent business, quit your 9 to 5, and be able to live and work anywhere in the world.
Thanks for watching. Make sure to subscribe and hit the notification bell if you haven't already. And if you liked it, give it a thumbs up because it helps us with the algorithm gods, and we will catch you guys on the next one.